Hi, this is to welcome you to History 5372, Section 1, Early National America, an online graduate-level history course taught by me, Tom Cox, Associate Professor of History at Sam Houston State University here in Huntsville, Texas. This short introductory video is to lay out some of the broad themes for the course and to briefly cover the syllabus. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I am a Louisiana native. I received my undergraduate degree at Birmingham Southern College in Birmingham, Alabama, and then I completed my PhD in American History at the State University of New York at Buffalo. I've been teaching at SAM now for going on 8 years. My primary historical interests are in early American history, American constitutional and legal history, and as you can probably tell by the pagoda behind me, increasingly I am interested in early American-Chinese relations. I've taught this course a number of times before. I really enjoy teaching it, and I hope to kind of impart my love, my interest of early American history onto you through this course. Now, what are the major themes for this course? What actually will we be talking about in this course throughout the semester? Well, when we look at the history of early national America, or what most scholars today call the early republic, it's important to keep in mind that this period is bracketed by two very important wars: the Revolutionary War, which created the United States, and the Civil War, a fratricidal conflict in which the early republic almost destroyed itself. In between these two conflicts, you have about 80 years of time, from the 1780s to the 1860s, in which the first three generations of Americans were struggling and trying to come to terms with what it actually meant to be an American. Now, today when we study early American history, we usually have a standard narrative, which is given to us by high school or college survey level classes. And the narrative tends to be rather progressive. It usually goes as follows. In the 1770s, 13 colonies or provinces on the periphery of the British Empire banded together and fought a revolution for their freedom. And in 1783, they were officially recognized by Great Britain and the other leading powers of Europe as an independent nation. The war was fought over issues such as taxation, over liberty, and was led by a band of heroes which most of us are familiar with: George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin. This revolutionary generation in 1787 then created the United States Constitution, the basic governmental framework which, with substantial modification, we still live under today. The Constitution attempted to strike a balance between the powers of the federal government and the rights of the state governments, a system known as federalism, which lasted from 1787 all the way up until 1861. In 1861, of course, you have the outbreak of the American Civil War, a fratricidal conflict in which over 600,000 soldiers and civilians were killed, and in which the death toll was larger than American casualties in World War I and World War II combined. The Civil War did not begin about slavery, but it became over time, at least on the part of the Union war cause, a war to liberate slaves, and the war ended in 1865, having settled once and for all the question: is the United States a single country with a single government? And of course, beginning, as Lincoln put it, a new birth of freedom, whereby America began to take tentative steps to provide equal rights for white and black Americans alike. And eventually, of course, this idea of freedom would be expanded to other minorities. This is kind of the standard view of early American history. It's neat, it's simple, it's progressive, things getting better over time. It's not necessarily wrong, but early American history is a lot more complicated than this simple narrative would suggest. As most of us know from our daily lives, human nature is not always neat. It's not always pretty. And there was nothing to guarantee America's victory in the Revolutionary War, America's or the Union's victory in the Civil War. In many ways, early Americans were quite different from us today because they didn't have the power and the influence of a modern industrial state to back them up. There was no guarantee that the United States would survive its first decade as a nation. There was no guarantee that we would not be divided and broken up into smaller countries and dominated by outside foreign powers. There was no guarantee that we would become, by the 21st century, the world's last remaining superpower. And so one of the things I want to do in this course is to kind of restore a sense of contingency to early American history. That the young early republic had enormous potential, but at the same time, it was not a done deal. Now, another myth which I want to debunk in this class is that early American history was created by a group which a lot of historians today call dead white males. And by that I mean individuals like Washington or Jefferson, or if you wanted to throw them in, Andrew Jackson or James K. Polk, who supposedly built America, due primarily to their rugged individualism. Now, that's not to say that these wealthy individuals weren't important. They certainly were, and we will be spending a fair amount of time in this class talking about them. But as this painting shows, early America was populated by millions of people who represented a mix-mash of cultures and religions and ethnicities. And throughout this course, we're going to be talking about the role which ordinary Americans played in both making their own history and giving dignity and meaning to their own lives, and in the ways they interacted with wealthier people in order to cause historical change over time. It's important to remember that early America was inhabited by groups such as Native Americans, who had been here thousands of years before whites ever arrived, that English and French and Dutch and later on German and Italian immigrants played a huge role in the creation of early American society. And of course you have the experience of millions of Africans who were brought here in chains against their will and who compose a very, very important minority group in American history. So throughout the semester we'll be talking about the ways that ordinary Americans worked with elites in order to help create a common American identity. Now, if you look at the syllabus, you'll notice that the course objectives for this class are to increase your factual understanding of early American political, economic, social, and cultural history, and also to continue to develop your critical thinking, reading, and writing skills. The format for this course is, of course, an online environment, which is very handy on one level because it allows us to complete our work from the privacy of our own homes. It allows us to integrate our work schedule with probably our daily work lives. But it also requires more attention to detail, more self-starting, and more perseverance than a regular classroom seminar. Now, as the syllabus shows, you have 8 assigned readings for this class. Each reading will be the basis of a 2-week module. During this 2-week period, we will be reading and discussing the book online, and at the end of the semester, you will need to have completed 3 4- to 6-page reaction papers based upon these books. In addition, you will have a rather unique assignment called a Review of Professional Book Reviews assignment, which will be based upon one of these 8 books as well. You will also have a short research paper or a historiographical paper that is due by the end of the semester, and I'll explain more about what historiographical means later on. And this will form the basis for your class grade, along with class participation, which will be determined through the frequency and quality of your online discussion comments. Every week, usually on Mondays, I will send you emails and make class announcements on the course website, passing along important information, deadlines for upcoming assignments, and other information to get you through the semester in good order. So it's a good idea to check your SAM mail and to check the course website a couple of times a week just to make certain that we're all on the same page. Now, if you will look at the course home menu and then the little sub-menu beneath it, you'll see another button under the syllabus button called Course Schedule. Just click on that and you'll get this little table which gives you deadlines for each module and for major assignments, telling you when they are due. I will augment this schedule with additional information about your assignments, which I'll post on the course website throughout the semester. But this syllabus and course schedule should give you a basic outline of the course. Be certain to read the syllabus clearly. Pay attention to things like grading and academic honesty, which are fairly standard and straightforward for a graduate level course. Feel free to email me or call me if you have any questions or problems. We will begin our first formal module on Wednesday, August 29th. But this brief video will give you guidelines to set you up for the course. I look forward to working with all of you this semester, and I will see you on Wednesday.